All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this epic episode of Cliff's Notes. We have, would you believe, coming in hot from New Orleans this morning, a young lady that does $33 million a year. That's 100 deals with one business partner and one admin. That's right. You're going to meet Courtney Kattengell coming up next right here on Cliff's Notes. Real estate agents, are you struggling with the day-to-day grind, dialing for dollars, putting in hours of floor time with little to show for it? Are you looking for tips, tricks, and tactics to accelerate your career as an agent that will have you closing more homes, working with more clients, and earning more money than ever before? Hi, my name's Cliff Freeman, and I've spent the past 2 decades of my real estate career running one of the top brokerages in DFW and personally coaching over 1,000 high-performing real estate professionals across North America. I created this podcast to share the strategies and tactics you need to explode your real estate business. I guarantee it. I guarantee. We got the guarantee working today, my man.
Yes, sir, we do.
Who's that redheaded beautiful lady down there on the end of the street there? Do you see her?
Is that Tinkerbell?
Can you imagine somebody doing 100 deals? I mean, we're going to be dropping knowledge. These knowledge bombs are going to be like IEDs coming head first right at you today. I guarantee you what. We're going to pull the curtain back and meet Courtney here. Courtney, welcome. Thank you for coming this morning. You flew all the way in from New Orleans.
All the way.
Missed your B&I meeting for the first time ever?
Not quite, but yes.
Quite?
Yeah. I don't miss them often.
You don't?
No.
Yeah, but you did, and then you said your sub didn't show up. So
I know.
Apologies to the gang at B&I. I hope they had a lot
I'm
of
sure
referrals.
they got through the meeting just fine.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, we are so excited to have you today, and I'll tell you, we had met Courtney, picked her up at the hotel, and it's been nonstop banter back and forth. You know, these folks from New Orleans, they just like to. They're all IDs, I think, or I something or other. And Courtney's been such a pleasure. But I am excited because you have a really interesting story to share today. And real estate really wasn't in your path as you were growing up. You had other aspirations, and other people told you were going to be other things. In fact, one of those was in television and radio, right?
Well, my career aptitude test acknowledged my great skill for broadcast journalism.
What do you think? Trellis, you think she could handle the news desk there at 5 o'clock here in Dallas or New Orleans?
I do. I think she has a great radio voice, too.
Probably not in Dallas, but I could definitely do the news in New Orleans.
Absolutely. But somehow you stumbled into real estate, and it's been quite an interesting road for you so far.
It has been. It's been a long road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, C3, what we really like to do when we have somebody like Courtney here is we bring the celebrity sort of to the people, and then we like to kind of pull the curtain back a little bit. And there are many aspiring realtors out there watching today in our audience, and they always kind of want to know, how do you get there? They see the final result, but they really don't understand the amount of work and the things that you had to go through to get here. Mm-hmm. So let's go back a little bit. Let's go back as far as you want to. But you actually, were you born in New Orleans?
No, I was born in Ocean Springs, Mississippi.
Ocean Springs, Mississippi. Take us through those early years. Just tell us, what was it like growing up as little Courtney?
Little Courtney. So I lived in Ocean Springs, Mississippi for, I think, 1 year of my life. And my father was in the oil business, so he was transferred to New Orleans, so very young. So I say I'm from New Orleans, born and raised, because I don't remember Ocean Springs, Mississippi, although it holds a very dear place in my heart because it is one of the sweetest little beach towns on the Gulf Coast. If you've never been, put it on your list. So I was, all my, education and everything was in the city of New Orleans. That's where I grew up.
And tell us about high school. Where did you go to school?
So I went to St. Mary's Dominican High School, which is an all-girls school.
Yay.
Woohoo.
All right.
And that's what you do in New Orleans. It's all girls or all boys when you come out of in a Catholic school setting like that. Right. And I went to college to LSU for 1 year. And I didn't love the Baton Rouge area. No offense to anyone that loves it, because people love the LSU Tigers. LSU was good school. I wasn't feeling it. And my boyfriend, now husband, was in New Orleans. So I went home after the first year, went to UNO, University of New Orleans, and I got a degree in teaching education. So
Teaching education.
I became a teacher. And
So would it be fair to say that you have a heart of a teacher?
probably so.
Probably so. I'm just going to do an aside here. You know the story about LSU and Rice, right?
No, I sure don't.
I'm a
Neither do
sophomore
I.
at Rice, and we go to Tiger Stadium. I didn't go with the team. We walked into Tiger Stadium from a little school with 2,500 students, and we got our clocks cleaned, 77 to nothing.
Ooh.
Yeah. That week when the team got back, I went into Coach Ray Alborn's office, and I said, I'd like to volunteer for this team because I can do better than that punter did. Bless his heart, I don't even know his name now. And so he let me walk on. He said, here's some cleats, go have at it. And so that next summer, he said, you can start next season. I went out for 2 days and started running stairs and stuff. And on the way back to the dorm, I see another bunch of guys that are kicking the ball around on the field. And this is no kidding. I stopped to watch. It looked like a soccer ball and a football got together and created another ball.
Uh-huh.
It was a little rounder than a football. And they were all in shorts and laughing and having fun and just beating the crap out of each other. And there was a keg of beer on the sideline. And I walked over and I said, God, fellas, this looks like a lot of fun. What are you guys doing? They said, well, we're playing rugby. And I said, rugby? I said, is that a school sport? No, it's a club sport. And you guys get to have beer at practices? Oh, yeah. And then after the games, we'd go with the other team and we drank the bars dry. And I said, are you taking new players on? And they said, well, yeah, you want to, roll around with us out here for a little bit. So I did, started to learn the game, went back the next day into Coach Ray Alborn's office and said, I'm sorry, Coach, here are your cleats back. The rugby team has beer. I'm out of here. Okay? So that was the LSU story I was going to share with you.
Nice.
Yeah. So you went into teaching then after college, correct?
I did.
And what grade did you teach?
I taught 8th grade for the longest time.
Is that a hard grade to teach?
They were 18-year-old 8th graders.
18-year-old 8th
They were
graders?
very hard to teach. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That means that they had to, they like to repeat things to learn them, make sure they learned them the first
They
time.
weren't all 18, but my most challenging ones were men in a classroom with other on-level 8th graders. And so that was the biggest challenge, yes.
That must be.
That's got to be tough. Yeah.
That's got to be really
Yeah.
tough.
And I really enjoyed the students and the relationships, the accountability piece I didn't feel like was fair, and administrative. There's so many reasons why a good public school teacher is going to find a way out.
Right. So is that how you felt? You felt like you needed to...
Well, actually, I was newly married, so it was 2006. The teachers are off in the summer, and the words of wisdom passed on to me by my father, who I'm a daddy's girl, so I listened. Yes, sir. He said, this teaching lifestyle will never support your dreams and goals. You need to get something on the side. You should sell real estate. Yes, sir. So I signed up for a class. I took the class in 2 weeks in 2006 and got licensed 2 weeks later and became a real estate agent. Just like
so
that.
your father suggested
He did.
that you get into real estate.
He did, yeah.
And what did your father do?
He was in the oil business, and he still is. He's still
Okay.
working.
Still
yeah.
working. Okay. Smart guy, obviously businessman.
Also an ID.
Yeah?
Yeah.
He's an ID as
Oh,
well.
yeah. We're a lot alike.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Which is a great profile for sales, right? If
And that's what he's in. He's in sales for
Yeah.
I'm not even sure quite what he does still after all these years. Artificial lift systems. I don't know.
Interesting.
I don't know. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
He sells the things that gets the oil out of the Gulf of Mexico.
Oh, okay. That's got to be a good business to be in, I would think, huh? Yeah.
Pretty lucrative.
Yeah. So,
still there.
so you got into real estate.
He said to, and I said, okay. And he said, this is who you sign up with. My friend is the broker at, a smaller company where we lived. And I said, okay. And I did all of these things kind of robotically, just following directions, not knowing anything about real estate. I didn't know that there were other brokers with different plans. I followed the directions really well.
So how much research went into this brokerage that you joined?
Zero.
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 Okay. What was it-
Zero.
Tell us, what was it like the first year there?
Well, I was part-time teaching too. I was part-time real estate, full-time teaching.
Okay.
So,
So you
nothing. So I was never there. I learned nothing. I took no
Okay,
classes.
well, let's talk about why you did it that way. Was your goal to, once you got up to where you could replace the teaching income, then you were going to jump over full-time into real estate, or what was the...
The goal was maybe I'll make some extra money.
Oh, okay, so it
Yeah.
was a side hustle at that point.
yeah.
Okay, okay.
Absolutely.
No plans on doing it full-time?
No.
Okay. So what was the first year like?
It feels like a long time ago.
This
Let me
is
go
what,
back.
2006.
2006.
Okay.
I mean, it was great extra money for a 25-year-old girl who didn't have any kids at home and had could manage with the teacher's salary. But when you make $4,000 on a sale at the time, this was excessive money for me as a
Right,
teacher.
right.
When
It's-
it was more than a month's
Yeah.
paycheck.
First time you get that big
Yeah.
check, that's stupid money.
Yeah,
right?
it was crazy.
Yeah. You remember your first commission check? You've never seen a check that big before, had you?
Must have had a
Yeah.
really good
Yeah.
first sale there.
Well, I mean, it
Or
wasn't a
any
lease.
just
Let's put it
the
that
chunk
way.
of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Average sale price, what, 300 or
I think it
350
was,
back then?
first
something
check
like
was
that?
like $7,500.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, not bad.
It's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
Do one of those a month, that's
Yeah,
starting somewhere.
That
you
used
know?
to be how much you made a year. you
Right,
know?
yes.
Yeah, back in
Yeah.
college, right. Working for the pest company and tending
Yeah.
bar at the pizza place.
Yep.
Yeah. So interesting. So how were you feeling that first year? Were you feeling the real estate thing was going to
I didn't know what I was doing. I was
Yeah?
just learning how to write a contract as I had to write a contract. I really didn't.
How was the support there? How was the training? How did you learn how to
They
prospect?
had training, but it was during school hours.
Right.
So I
Oh.
never was able to participate in any of it. So I just learned as I went.
And you had to be there was no Zoom back then, so you had to be in the office or you missed it,
I
right?
think I had a Palm Pilot.
What's that?
Oh my
Remember
gosh,
those
with like a little
little-
stylus.
Yeah.
Oh,
Or
like-
something. It had or a BlackBerry, whatever.
I had a BlackBerry
Yeah,
Pearl.
one of them. One of the two I had. And,
Uh-huh.
yes, we didn't even have Zillow. Zillow wasn't even there, you
Right,
know? We
right.
didn't have, I worked the desk on the weekends. And that's actually my first sale came from desk.
Okay, so you did
Interesting.
floor time. We used to call it floor time, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so
I did that for 3 years.
at some point after 3 years, what was the impetus for you what was the decision behind making a move?
Right.
I had my first child. And I didn't want to cry Sunday nights anymore about what I had to go do the next day. I wanted to be home with my baby.
Okay, so the first thing you got rid of was the school job.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. And then-
And I said to my husband, I said, look, I'm going to take a leave because she was born in the summer. So I'm going to take a leave for the first semester, like a sabbatical is what they called it. And I could keep my insurance and, they'd hold my place and they would just put a sub. And if I can match my teacher's income in this first semester, then I'll continue and I'll resign. If I don't, I'll go back.
okay.
And it very quickly, once I was like, oh, it's a real business. I have a business. That's when I realized I'm running a business. So I had never in 3 years put it together that I'm operating a full business and there are, levels that need to, occur for me to be able to succeed at that level. And now I had the why behind it,
Right.
where I didn't have it before. It was just fun extra money.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
so it happened. It happened very quickly.
And so was there a plan B? Did you just say, I'm all in for real estate and burn the boats? Or were you behind in the back of your mind thinking, well, I can always go back to teaching if I need to? Or
It's hard to remember, but I think by October, I knew that it was going to be enough to where I could, resign fully.
Okay, now let's put this in perspective. You started in 2006.
Mm-hmm.
What year was it that you went full-time into real estate?
2009.
Okay, that was like the bottom of the bottom.
I know.
And kind of like the market that some people think we're in now, which we're not.
Which we're not.
But you've actually been through what we call a major
Yes.
real estate cycle.
Yeah, that's really when I stepped in.
And that's
fully.
when you started really taking
Yes,
it on head
yes,
on.
Yes.
Okay. So what was that like? What was it like in New Orleans in 2009?
I didn't know I would have to retrieve memories. It was. I mean, I stayed working, so I always had a list of things I needed to accomplish in a day. And I took a lot of classes, and that's when I switched from the smaller brokerage to, at the time I went to Keller Williams. And that's when it really ramped up because
Shift, you read the book, right?
of course, the million
Bold.
MREA,
Yeah,
did the
well, Bold was
bold,
later.
did all the
Yeah.
things, yes.
Yeah.
And so appreciate the training that I got from them.
Yes, of course.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then I met my business partner that I'm still partnered with. We partnered in 2011,
This is Tiffany.
Tiffany.
And Tiffany, I'm sorry you didn't come. I had the pleasure to meet actually both you and Courtney at Inman in New York just a couple of months ago, I guess. And I'm really sorry. I'm going to shame you for not coming, but we'll give you an opportunity to make up for that.
She doesn't respond to shame, so that
She
won't
doesn't.
work. Mm-mm.
Well, okay, I won't do it publicly. Not a
You
public.
can do it.
I'll
She's just
give
not.
her
It's
a
not
hard-
going to do
I'll
anything.
give her a hard time. All right, so you met Tiffany, and the funny thing about that relationship is you guys actually grew up together, and you didn't know it.
We didn't know it. So our lives were very paralleled. She was 1 year ahead of me, but we went to the same high school, went to the same college, had a lot of mutual friends, but we had never crossed paths until right before I left for Keller Williams. So, early on in my real estate career, and she had just gotten licensed.
Wow.
And I remember thinking, I'm like, who is that pretty smart other young girl who seems polished and professional? And then we became friends, and I went to Keller Williams first, and then brought her with me a few months later
Okay.
to partner up.
Okay. And at that time, did you already have a vision for how that relationship would work out together?
No,
No.
no.
It was
It
like,
just felt right. So
Okay.
it was a gut feeling. Our goals sort of aligned. We both had small children at home. We were very much wanting to leverage some of the tasks and responsibilities that come with being a high producing sales agent without an assistant at this time. And so that was a good fit for us. And we were both very driven. We have similar work ethic. We're both business plan oriented, where many real estate agents, you guys know, have never written a business plan for themselves.
Right.
And so she was a rarity amongst the people that I knew.
And you didn't like sit down and do a SWOT analysis together and something
We did a disc profile.
Okay. And what did you find out?
We were polar opposites.
Polar opposites.
Polar.
Okay.
What do you say about having
Opposites
a partner?
attract. Paula Abdul, right? Yeah.
Well,
what do I say? Yes.
yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah,
Mr.
no,
Freeman.
you're fine. You like to say that if somebody's like you and they're in a similar kind of role at the top, right? You don't want someone that's similar. You want someone that's going to be different,
Right.
when it comes to their style of doing
Right.
business.
So
right?
actually, what I say is, you ready for this?
There you go.
Ready.
When two people in business agree all of the time, one of them is unnecessary. Ooh,
Ooh,
that'll be in the reels, the highlight reels.
that's good.
Yeah. It's like two drunk people trying to hold each other up, right? I mean, it just doesn't work.
No.
When you have two people,
You're right.
especially if they're both visionaries. And by the way, I'll credit Gino Wickman for writing the book Traction, which I actually did
Sent
you
it
get
to
that in the
me.
mail?
I
I
did.
think
Thank you.
Courtney, Santa Claus dropped something off.
That was nice. I got
But
a
it's,
few.
yeah, but it's operating. I mean, your phone, right? You wouldn't own a phone without an operating system. You wouldn't have a computer without an operating system. Why would you run a business without an operating system? So EOS, which stands for Entrepreneur Operating System, is that structure, that formal framework, how to hold meetings, how to be a good boss. I mean, there's a whole slew of things that go around that. So I hope you enjoy those. But what you guys have done kind of organically is the two of you. I mean, when you and I were sitting in New York talking about your business, and I asked you, of course you know me, I'm always, so what do you sell? What do you do? And you said 100 transactions a year, and I said, well, what was your best year? And you go 33 million. I'm like, wow, this is somebody I need to get on the show here, because that's no slouch, right? But you guys seem to be able to, just using your own instincts and stuff, to put this together, which is really, it's very unusual. Now, KW is a great place to learn about building teams and things like that. No question about it. KW is Hall of Fame. But it's one of those situations where if you follow MREA, they're telling you got to have 6 buyer agents
Right.
and all this.
We
other
did
kind
all
of
of
stuff.
that, and
you
we
did all that. What happened? Tell us about that.
So we partnered up in 2011. We hired our first assistant maybe 2012. And then we started to, while very unlike any cookie cutter templated team per MREA, where there's one rainmaker and then listing specialist, buying specialist, and then it tiers down from there, we were 2 equal rainmakers. So we kind of made our own cookie cutter for it. And it was, nobody else had ever done that in our market anyway. So that we got a lot of like, it's probably not a good idea. You're not setting it up right. But again, you know, we knew each other's strengths and we knew each other's weaknesses, and we knew that we supported both of our strengths and weaknesses, like in a you know, a married capacity.
Right.
So we held each other up. We weren't
So,
helping each other
So
up.
before we throw MREA under the bus, Gary
Yeah.
Keller does say one of the key hires you're going to make is an admin.
Yeah.
Somebody that's you
Yeah.
can, you know, not cul-de-sac talent, but somebody that can take over your operation when you step out. So Tiffany is that caliber. She's that quality of integrator. Okay, so that's what EOS talks about. There's a visionary, which is you, Courtney, and then I would look at Tiffany as the integrator. She's the get shit done gal, right? When you throw something over to her and say, hey, we need to do this, it's like, okay, boom, I got it, and she runs with it. Is that reasonable?
I mean,
Or
it's not wrong.
not
Yeah.
wrong? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't mean you don't do stuff either, but
Yeah, I
I'm just
do
saying,
things.
but you're kind of the visionary.
I just give
right?
it all to her.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we both share an
Well,
equal vision. As
what-
time went on, we
Yeah.
began to grow a vision together.
What's
Yeah.
her disc profile?
She's an SC.
SC. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So she's more content doing tasks than she
She
is.
loves a spreadsheet.
She's a spreadsheet queen.
We call her a freak between the sheets. Freak in the sheets. That's what we call her.
Okay.
Do you need to bleep that out?
That was good.
Okay.
It's free-
Google
That'll,
Sheets.
that'll be in
It's
the
like a
reels,
meme.
too.
Like you can find that.
Right.
Yeah.
That's okay. Hey, pretend we're in New Orleans, right? But she is. She's more task oriented and more, SC.
Data driven.
Kind of behind the
yeah.
scenes, if you will. You're more.
She
Right.
loves to do all of that
Right.
stuff. I
Does she
don't.
go on listing appointments?
Yeah, we both do.
You both
Okay.
do. Okay. And you go on together on the same.
That's
Okay.
our value proposition is that
2
you're-
for 1.
Yeah.
Right. BOGO. Buy one, get one free.
Yeah. How'd you
okay.
know?
I like that. I like that. Yeah. And so that's in what, okay, so gosh, I still think that's just incredible that you guys do that much business. And you have one assistant who is kind of a trailing assistant that, keeps all the wheels on, licensed, transaction coordination, listing coordination, and
Yes.
all that kind of
Correct,
stuff, right?
yes.
Okay.
All of the above.
Yeah. Excellent. So we want to stay in the timeline here. So you were with KW for how long then?
2011 till the end of 2019.
Okay, so everything was fully recovered by then. 2019 was that order taker market. Things were just, houses were flying off the shelf, and it was a great, market.
It
for
was
everybody.
fun.
Yeah, it was. I know. We'll talk to our kids about that, is what I would say, right?
Right.
About how much fun it was in
Yeah.
2019. And then what happened? What happened at KW? What does
Nothing. We had gotten to a point in our career where we felt like we were maybe missing something, and the next obvious thing was to get our broker's licenses. So we did, and then we stepped out. Yeah, and opened our own.
That everybody sort of has that thought about, if I can just get my broker's license, I'll be at the top of the hill, right? That's as high as you can get in this industry. And then we learn what broker really means. It means it makes you broker. Like
Everyone
rich.
says that, but
Right?
they didn't say that when we were getting our broker's license.
Yes. Oh, they told you to go full speed ahead.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And now they're like, oh, you'll never make money being a broker. Oh,
Right. Yeah.
Would you have shared that in 2019?
Yes. Yes. So
It's
how
okay.
was your experience? You were an independent broker for a while then?
For 2 years.
For 2 years, okay. And you built up this nice brand. I'm sure it was really beautiful, and you got to get everybody else's name off of it. It was just yours. And for 2 years, kind of, how did your business go?
Well, so in that 2 years was also the height of the market. It was COVID. So 2020 was our first full year of being on our own as independent brokers, and that's the year we did 100 transactions and 33 million in sales. I do not know if I can attribute that to being independent brokers as much as I can attribute that to where the market was. We would have, our clients and everybody probably listening understands that it's not the brand, it's you that, you know, your clients choose to work with. So we were able to not skip a beat really, and then also compound it with, you know, historically low interest rates, and the New Orleans market at the time had never seen higher prices and low inventory and everything else.
We skipped something that I think that we need to just pay tribute to, and that is, well, actually, that was in 2005, wasn't it? That was when
Hurricane Katrina, I was not licensed yet.
Okay, you weren't
I
licensed.
came in
yet.
as the city was rebuilding.
As it was rebuilding.
Yes,
Okay, I
yes.
just want to put all that in perspective, because that was a huge hiccup in the real estate market in New Orleans.
But it actually, I think it set New Orleans a little bit ahead of the downfall of the market come like 2008.
Okay.
Because we had a lot of federal dollars. We were already in rebuilding mode. So the economy was already stimulated differently, and people had opportunity to really get in there and invest. And so I got licensed toward the end of 2006, and I was still showing flooded and gutted homes. Yeah.
Okay,
So,
got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there are still flooded and gutted homes.
Oh, sure. A lot of people that didn't have
Abandoned.
They
insurance.
just abandoned, yeah.
Yeah, just let them go.
Yeah.
And it's a shame. We talked earlier. I remember the first jazz festival after Katrina. Bruce Springsteen opened the show up and stuff. It just really gave me goosebumps to think about. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
So the broker thing, how far into it did you realize that there might need to be another path for you?
So in full transparency, 2020 was an epic year. We had gained some agents, we bought a building, and then 2021 began. One of our agents left to go get her broker's license, and she was a good producer for us. She left to go get her broker's license and start her own thing, and of course, in full support of that. So she exited, and so we had a small number of agents under us. And so in 2021, our focus was we had this office space. It was to grow the office, build, recruit, build, and maintain production. And so as we focused on those goals, we realized very quickly that we can't be hyper-focused on 5 different things without something falling behind, and that was our production.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
And that's usually what happens. That trips you up. You start taking on a bunch of ancillary services to provide agents and things,
Yes.
and especially new agents. Their time sucks. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just that they're very needy when they get out. And if you're not prepared for that, they will impact your production. And if you're still having to produce to support your office, that's a downward spiral.
And our lives. Yes.
Yeah,
not a
it's
good
an emotional
And
train
like,
wreck. Yes.
right.
So you took a fork at the road, or you took a left instead of a right. What happened after that?
So it was the fall of 2021. So it was almost, every October we sit down to do our business plan for the next year. We review all of our numbers. We study our spreadsheets.
Did you hear that, guys, out there in the audience? Thank you very much
You're
for sharing
welcome. And so it was at that point that we felt like we needed a different engine behind us. And prior to us leaving Keller Williams, prior to us deciding to get our broker's licenses even, we met with another boutique broker in the city who had a really beautiful brand. They had just started the year prior. So they were very small at the time, and we thought about exiting Keller Williams and moving our license there, and then we, internally discussed maybe the next step is broker's license, and then we'll see. So we reached out to the broker who we are affiliated with now, and partnered in essence with them as a different branch, because we have an office in a different part of the city that they didn't have a location.
Oh, okay, sure.
So we were able to serve their agents in this area, and hopefully be able to attract through their brand.
Right.
And that's where we are now. That was we merged with them early 2022, January 2022.
You've it sounds like you've decided not to go back to the team model. Mm-hmm. Is that something in your future, or?
I mean, what we gained from the experience, the knowledge that we gained from the experience of operating the team. And when you said earlier, not to throw Gary Keller under the bus, that was never my intention, because I attribute a lot of my success to my years at Keller Williams. A lot of the mantras are from
the
Gary.
Mindset, sure.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
I say, actually, I have a bracelet that says thoughts become things. I wear it every day. Mm-hmm. One thing we realized for us, Tiffany and I are both very relationship focused. We are not transaction focused at all. And when we had the team, we were giving leads out, and then the people were leaving the team. We never met the lead we handed off. We never was able to cultivate a relationship with those leads. So it was like a 3-year period where we felt like we were giving away our future business.
Right.
And so for the two of us, it made more sense for us to peel back, drop the buyer's agents, and we would just continue to transact both buyers and sellers.
Sure. Yeah. And again, it just reminds me, C3, about kind of the Old Testament, the old model, as I call it, where it's the only way up is out, right? You have to move out of the team in order to move up. And
correct.
Then that team leader who pours in all of that training and stuff is left holding the bag. And
starting over again.
And God, I'll never forget asking Lars Hedenborg in the 10 years that he ran his team how many buyer agents he had through the door. And he was the number one team with Thomas Elrod up in Charlotte at the time, running a great coaching program, Real Estate B School. And I asked him first, I said, how many agents do you have now, buyer agents? And he goes, 3, and they're all great. They're all real productive and everything. I was like, super. And how many agents have you gone through over the 10 years to get to these 3? And he said 75.
Yeah.
And I said, so you've given the best training, the best of you poured into each of these 75 people, and you have nothing to show for it right now.
Yeah.
And I think he had an epiphany. We can talk about that on another show.
Yeah.
Actually, we did talk about it with Lars.
We did, yeah.
But bottom line was, that was the way it went.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, nobody solved that problem, and I'm not going to go into another model at this moment, but it appears that was the biggest nut to crack for a lot of people.
It was happening before us, like we were watching it unfold.
Yes.
And so by year 3, we were like, wait a second, and
do you know anybody that ever really stepped out of their business?
I can't.
Like retired?
No.
Yeah,
No.
I've never been to
the
a
teams
realtor
that have
retirement
been
party.
really successful in our market are still the teams
Still
that are
churning.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, have you ever been to a restaurant there where you have an absentee owner? They don't come
Right.
in, and you know what happens, right? It just goes to pot.
Yes.
Right? The food, everything else.
Yes.
It's kind of the same thing with the real estate team.
Yeah.
If
Any
you're not
business.
there to carry
Yes.
the vision,
That's right.
then you got to roll your sleeves up every once in a while. That's why, I'm still in there in the trenches with everybody. You just have to do that. You need to do that. Someday, am I going to be able to turn the keys over to you? Of course. Yeah, hopefully, right? Maybe next week, not this week.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
So this is a fascinating thing to understand your real estate career. And along the way, you're multi-talented. Obviously, you're very bright, very smart, very articulate. And you also, as we talked about earlier, come from a heart of education and really a mindset. You do have a mindset of abundance. I don't see anything of scarcity about you at all.
Oh, that's nice. Thank you.
Yeah, you believe there's enough grains of sand on the beach for everybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah, of
Absolutely,
course,
yes.
right? So, and the other thing is that you have a heart to help people, and you've created really a coaching program. Will you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So in 2018, so the year before we got our broker's license, I had kind of gone through sort of a personal dip personally, and I had to work on some of my personal limiting beliefs and some of the internal stuff that I carry around, and it actually opened my eyes. So as I worked through this, and it was lengthy, it was like 2018, it was like the whole year. I had to ask myself some really hard questions, and I wanted to still be in love with my job. I wanted to still, get excited to wake up in the morning. I wasn't there. Something had changed. And everyone says, but you're so successful. It wasn't igniting me inside. It didn't light me up. It didn't motivate me to get out of bed necessarily in the morning. And, I just maybe after at that point, it was 12 years, was just kind of like the dip, like the 7-year itch. It took me 12 years. And so what I pulled out of myself is ultimately like my truest strength is helping people, and which is why I got into education to begin with. So I have a desire to help people through moments like I was experiencing. So targeting real estate agents all over, not just my actually I prefer not to be in my competitors, being able to hold their hand and teach them some interpersonal skills that maybe the industry forgets to teach real estate agents. There's no talk about mental health. There's no talk about, how to sustain some of the social effects of being in the business, like comparing yourself to others and, overcoming the negative self-talk and all of those things. And that's where I was in 18. Okay. So by the time I came out of it, I'm like, I want to start I think I had a dream, and it was like, do it.
Did you have a coach at the time?
No.
Have you ever had a coach?
For a minute. For just 1 minute. It wasn't a good fit.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got somebody I want you to meet.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll think about it.
You know who I'm talking about?
I'll think about it.
You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about. Changed my life. But.
Yeah.
So I started writing real estate, RIGHTING.
Writing.
So it's like correcting the industry.
Yes.
Not from a sale. I'm not trying to coach people on how to sell 100 houses a year. Please no. I don't want to teach you how to write a contract or have a cold call with a for sale by owner.
Yeah.
That is not my goal. It's not accountability in that way. It's accountability for yourself.
Yeah.
And so sort of life coachy, but I don't call myself a life coach.
Wow, you need to meet Laura and Rocco when she brings the girls with grit. You know the hotel you're staying in, the
Yes.
Renaissance?
They're
going to be there.
an event.
Coming up.
Cool.
Really cool. It's all girls.
Yeah.
I'm used to that.
Yes. Yeah. So tell me about how, do you have clients now that you're working with, or how are you helping people?
Yeah, I have a few clients. It's a sort of, unfortunately, it's not on the front burner because I'm still in full production, selling and transacting real estate. So it's not something I pay a ton of attention to, but it's been there since 2018, and it does have some traction. And every now and then I dip back in and I give it some attention, and then I tend to pull back. I can't at this time do both full time. Yeah. Yes.
Right.
And really, I think my goal, what?
I was going to ask you, which one's more important to you in the long run?
Oh, absolutely. The coaching side.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So it becomes just, I have to choose where I spend my time with it. So I can't do everything
You have to
right
be
now.
strategic.
I also feel like the time will come, and so it's there, it's a thing, but maybe I jumped my timeline a minute and I went into it too soon when I wasn't ready to actually.
I think you're right. But I think you will make the time come.
Yeah.
It's not going to come by itself. You will take the steps necessary so that it can come.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Speaking of managing time, how do you manage your time with 2 kids? You got a husband, he works as well.
Mm-hmm.
Selling 100 homes a year, that's a pretty big time commitment in itself.
B&I is a beast.
B&I, coaching, you do volunteer work for Mardi Gras.
Oh my gosh, we haven't even touched that.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
You're busy.
I am a busy lady.
How do you keep all this together? Do you have a calendar, or how do you?
Yes, I have a calendar.
Yeah, okay.
If it's not in my phone, it doesn't exist.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, it's not in my calendar. It's not happening. I don't know. I guess I'm used to it, and I like when things are moving.
Right.
So if there's a day that there's nothing in it, occasionally I'll be like, oh, I'll take a me day. But often I'll find, a past client to take to lunch, or, I just jump back in. There are little windows of opportunity that I can take a hold of.
What hobbies do you have?
So I like to cook. I don't get to do a lot of it.
Yeah.
I like to travel when I can do it. I like going away and being quiet, honestly.
You forgot the party part.
I like to party. I like a wine and dine scenario. That's ideal.
Okay.
Mardi
Yeah.
Gras.
I love Mardi Gras.
All right. The audience is chewing their arms off.
You
wanting
think?
to know about Mardi Gras. Yeah. Tell them what you got, what you cook up for Mardi Gras.
Oh, well, I mean, I ride in a crew. So it's an all women crew. I mean, I am just aligned with the ladies today.
Yes.
I never considered that. But that is the way the crews are. There are some co-ed crews, but in New Orleans, they're either all men or all women.
Just like the high schools, right?
Just like the high schools, which
Right,
it's just an adult high school, really, is what's happening.
Well, they got to separate the sexes for the debauchery. Otherwise, you got
Yes,
problems.
yeah, it gets dicey.
Right.
So it's about, I think our crew is up to like 1,300 women.
Whoa.
So we're now a super crew. We're called Cleopatra. We're awesome. It's one of the first parades that does the traditional uptown St. Charles and then downtown parade route, which is the big long route. So we kind of kick off Mardi Gras season every year, and it is so much fun.
What people don't understand, just take a minute and tell us about how much work is involved in preparations for something like that.
Oh, just to be a rider?
Yeah.
Okay, we have to go to Total Wine and More and stock up for the day before and the day of. You have to, participate. I mean, there's balls and things, but this is all fun. So it's also been a really awesome way to grow my network. So I've built great relationships. The person I started riding with years ago, she and I were the only two people I knew on the float, and now we have like 100 of my closest friends riding with us. So it was a big recruiting thing. I can recruit to a Mardi Gras parade like no other.
Right.
Because it's easy, because it's so much fun, People see you having fun, and it's contagious.
How long does that preparation last? Building
Yeah,
up to
when do you start on the parade? How many months in advance do you guys start partying? I mean,
There are like party events throughout, and the crew raises money, and it's philanthropic in that way.
You got to build like the floats,
No,
right?
no, we pay for that.
Okay.
Yes, no, nobody's building a float.
Okay.
Oh.
The
Oh,
costumes
no.
and
I'm
stuff.
not. No.
Okay.
No.
So
I
you
know. I
raise
feel
money
like
to pay for that.
we just pay for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
We raise money to support local nonprofits
Got
and
it.
things like that.
Okay.
No, it's just
Well,
a
there's
big party
1,300.
club.
Yeah.
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 It's a big party club.
Yeah. Okay.
Fun.
And so
Yeah.
when does that actually? I mean, we know that Mardi Gras is the Lent before Lent. It's the Tuesday.
Mardi Gras
before
Day is always
the day
Fat
before
Tuesday
Lent.
is the day before you don't
Right.
eat.
And Mardi
Yes.
Gras it's French for Fat Tuesday, meaning
Correct.
people get fat, they eat, they drink, they do everything because Lent they're
Debauchery.
supposed to give everything.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And I've been there when they close at midnight. New Orleans does not stay open till 4 on Fat Tuesday.
No.
They close it at midnight, and the police are there with fire hoses spraying people off the streets.
Off of Bourbon
Yeah.
Street. That's right.
Yeah.
It's the big chunk of Mardi Gras is 2 weeks.
Yes.
Actually, not even. It's like 10 days.
About 10 days.
But then there are like some other little crews that kick it off, like on King's Day, January 6th. There's
Okay.
the Joan of Arc parade. There's like these little crews that do
Okay.
things.
So King Cake is, that's the
You don't have
tradition.
king cake. It is against all religions to come to New Orleans and have a slice of king cake if it isn't King's Day yet. You don't January 6th. You don't mess with that.
Oh, before January 6th.
So the
And
bakeries really like
Yeah.
a long Mardi Gras
Adele's
season.
and places like that.
They like it when Mardi Gras is at the end of February because they can sell for
Yes.
2 months.
Yes.
Next year, Mardi Gras,
Yeah.
we ride February 2nd, so Mardi Gras is like February 12th or something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's
it's
unbelievable.
early
Yeah.
now.
And so the little baby inside,
Mm-hmm.
does everybody really honor that tradition where the person who gets the baby has to buy the next king cake? Is that?
Yes.
Yeah. Interesting. Do you
like
know the
part of
history?
the Bible.
It's part of the Bible?
Part of the Mardi Gras.
Mardi
Bible.
The Mardi Gras Bible.
Yeah.
Oh, forgive me. Okay.
He's like, I didn't read that chapter.
Yeah, it's like, oh man, I thought I read
Everybody
the whole
knows
thing.
that, Cliff.
Yeah, okay. Sorry. Oh, I feel like a pagan now. Born again
Heathen.
hedonist.
Yeah.
Yes, that's me. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the coaching, the real estate, the family part, the Mardi Gras part. Have we missed any part of your life that you wanted to share with us today?
No, I mean, I like to embed myself in community. and a purpose of community and help develop a sense of community while working on some of the things that are closer to my heart, so, and that's what I coach agents all the time. It's like they don't know how to lead generate. They don't know how to build their network. Find something you're passionate about and go get involved in it. And then the rest is natural because you're there for like a genuine reason. It's intrinsic. It's not because, I need to get 10 leads today, or I need to find somebody to sell a house to, or I need to make this bill, at the end of the month. It's because you're, actually interested in whatever the mission or the cause is. And then with that is just, the universe gives back. So it's paying it forward always is kind of the way that I operate my business.
Yeah.
Servant leadership.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is service.
Yeah.
We're in the service business for sure.
1000%. Customer service.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Question for you, Courtney.
Ew. I'm excited.
Hard one.
I'm going to do some fast questions. If you were to recommend one podcast to our audience, what would that podcast be?
Oh, man. There's so many good ones. Like just a podcast
In general.
channel
Yeah.
thing. I said earlier, I'm into Mel Robbins right now. I enjoy a lot of the wisdom she imparts.
Okay.
Okay.
So there's a lot of like mental health associated with like practical application to life. So you almost don't feel like you're being therapized, but you are.
Okay.
Therapized.
Interesting. We'll have to check that one out.
Yeah.
Mel Robinson.
That was a good question.
Mel Robbins.
Favorite Mel Robbins.
Robbins. Yeah.
What's your favorite book that you've cracked open recently, or that you've?
So I'm
taught?
in the middle of Unreasonable Hospitality, and I can't tell you who the author is, but it's awesome, and it focuses on like rolling out the red carpet, and it's based on restaurants in New York City actually, and how some restaurants were able to overcome, where others were failing, and it was really about like, oh, your parking meter's out? Here, we got that, and they'll go and put change in the parking meter so that their guests can enjoy their dinner. It's going above and beyond, and so
Right.
I'm really enjoying reading about it. I'm fascinated with the city of New York anyway, but so it's interesting read and how that applies to everything that we do.
Any kind of business that can apply to, or just life in general, and building those, cultivating those
Yes,
relationships.
yes.
And so
Yeah,
forth.
for sure. Well, it was in New York where we met you.
I know.
In
Yeah.
Inman.
That was
and
fun.
It was such a great experience to be there and to get to meet you and your partner. I mean, it's just it's pretty special to meet people.
That's
that
why
can
we
build
go
a
to
real
those
estate
events.
business
Yes.
like that. Yeah, for sure.
That's why we travel. That's why we go do
Yeah,
stuff like
yeah.
this.
And if you're in, let me tell you what, guys, real estate is a contact business. If you're not out talking to people and getting to know people in a very, just a very personal way, I mean, real estate's personal. You have to get rapport. You have to be able to get permission to really, for people to do business with you. And that's what, you're obviously a master at building rapport with your clients and
I hope so.
Yeah, and everybody that you come across. So, and we're just so grateful to have you here today to share with
Thank you.
our audience.
Thanks
It's
for having
been-
me.
It's been amazing.
It has been fun.
And
Told you you'd fly by.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And Travis, I just want to say thank you for flying us and getting us safely to back on the ground again here. Thank you. You're always amazing back there in the control panel.
No problem. No problem at all. Great show as usual.
Well, thank you, sir. Let's see. Next week we
How
have.
could somebody reach
Oh,
Courtney?
that's right. I was going to say yes, Courtney. How could somebody reach out to you if they wanted to find out more about, just have a word with you, or even learn about your coaching program?
Well, so on Facebook, it's Writing Real Estate.
Okay,
Again,
and it's
RIGHT, not writing,
Yes.
but like correcting it.
Yeah.
RIGHTING.
Or like writing
Someday
a
book.
I'm gonna stop spelling it. Hopefully. So we have a Facebook page. That's an easy way to reach out. Or all of our TCK Property Marketplace is our business page.
TCK
Property Marketplace.
Property Marketplace.com. Okay, perfect. Well, tell Tiffany again, we're sorry she couldn't be here. Yeah, we miss you.
Tiffany is
But-
actually watching, I think.
Oh, is she?
Hey, Tiffany
Oh,
LaCour
excellent.
Riddle.
All right.
Hey,
That is
Tiff.
it.
Yeah.
She says she is watching.
Well, we'll get her here the next time, or maybe
Yes.
we'll go to New Orleans and, hey, we should probably do
That's-
a show from Jazz Fest.
You know,
Yes.
That would be so much fun.
Travis, can we do that? Is that cool?
Can we borrow you?
We'll
Yeah,
do a
we
show
can.
from
We can set it up.
Jasmine.
Do a remote show?
Yeah,
we
remote
can
show.
set it up.
Yeah, cool.
It's cool.
All right. Well,
Well,
will you
thanks
come back
again,
and visit
Courtney.
with us again?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, always a pleasure. If it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't be up here. So we're going to send you much love from Lincoln Center live here in Dallas, Texas. You guys have a great week, and we'll be back next week with another episode of Cliff's Notes.
All right, folks, tune in to Cliff's Notes every Thursday at 1 o'clock Central for the tips, tricks, and tactics to explode your business. I guarantee it!